Hello, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for joining me in another of my waffling, rambling monologues. Sometimes they are, sometimes they're more succinct and to the point, and sometimes I'm smoking my pipe and sometimes I'm not. And today I definitely am. I definitely am. The sun is shining and I am fast approaching the end of my book, Biggleswick, the town that wouldn't comply, and I'll be boring you soon on how you could get a copy and have a read if you're so inclined. You may be not inclined at all, and well, that would be a shame. So now the purpose of today's video, by the way, I suppose I ought to get onto that, is because I have been working on my book and smoking copious bowls of very nice tobacco to keep myself motivated and focused, if you like. I haven't been doing as many interviews as I would ordinarily have done, and in the last couple of years, you may know, they were quite relentless. They were going out sometimes 2 different interviews a day, and people have been very kind with some of their observations. Other people not so kind, you know, but one has to try and keep an open mind on all different people who have something interesting to say, and challenging, and often they can be challenging. But at the moment I've had to withdraw from doing those because I've been wanting to focus on writing and doing something different. And although the writing is a novel, and it's a story, I'm hoping that within the story there are interesting, what you might call truth bombs, that relate very much to many of the guests who've mentioned things and what I have learnt, really, but within a story. Anyway, that's been a fantastic diversion in many ways from the usual scrolling through YouTube videos, Rumble videos, and the emails, and people send you videos to have a look at, and the horror, the tyranny, the frightening stuff that's going on in the world. And of course I do go through my emails, and I noticed that a number of people have been asking me, you know, as if I was some agony aunt, which of course I'm not an agony aunt. In fact, I'm nobody's aunt, but I don't ever claim to be an expert in anything, really. And people have asked me, you know, certain things, how do I do this and how do I do that? What do you think of the other, and what have you? And I, if I can, I'll send them to somebody else who is an expert, perhaps a guest on the show, but it's not always easy. And sometimes the guests on the show themselves are inundated anyway because of what they're doing, and they probably don't appreciate another forwarding of lots of different emails. I mean, we're all trying to be as helpful as we possibly can, but we all have to live, don't we? And we're limited by time. But also one of the other trends that I've noticed is that people get quite stressed. They've had challenging letters from debt collectors, for example, or the government, or the council, or the other bodies, and they're becoming quite stressed, and they've picked up the challenge, they've picked up the gauntlet and said, I'm going to go and I want to fight this, I want to push back against the other, I want to try, you know, not paying something or other. And of course these are all personal choices that people make themselves, and I hope that they are thinking those things through before they tackle them, because anytime you go, let's just say, into battle with anybody in any sphere, you need to know what reserves you've got, what resources you have, and how prepared you are, and how long you've got to tackle these things. And if you do go into any form of battle, also it is sometimes required to take a break, to come out of the battle zone and recoup. And this is really the message of today's video, is because I know that a number of people are unhappy with the way things are. They've been questioning, like myself, why a lot of the policies that the government put out, for example, seem to be against the people rather than for the people. And we've all got views on that, of course. And as soon as you start questioning, as you know, as soon as you start questioning things, particularly authority figures, you can get a lot of pushback by your friends and family and others, and saying, well, why are you asking even these questions? And my argument there is purely that surely we're allowed to question something. We don't just instantly go, yes, up, right, up, thank you, up, unless, of course, we've signed up to be a foot soldier of that particular body. You know, and I've spoken about being out of the system and the UK corporation. And a lot of people don't understand that. A lot of people in the system do not understand they're in a system. They just think that's life. And that, of course, that's part of the problem, isn't it? But it is essential, I think, to withdraw occasionally and have other diversions, other things. If you're a writer, write a book. If you're a painter, paint a picture. If you're a singer, sing a song. You know what I'm saying? If you're a walker, go walking. We cannot be at the deep end, or the sharp end, I suppose, all the time. And actually, if you are, you get burnt out very quickly. And I know from friends who've been trying to help others, and I said to this chap the other day, I said, you can't help everybody. You know, if you try and help everybody, you scatter your energy, and then you're actually offering very little to all these people, rather than saying, look, I can help you, you and you, but I'm afraid until I've done these people, I've helped these people, I can't help these others. And of course, we need to help ourselves. We need to make sure that our mental health is secure and our well-being is in a good place, that we're eating sufficiently, getting enough sleep, we're drinking as clean water as we can, we are getting out into nature. It is important to effectively take a break and repower ourselves, if you like. And I suppose in many ways, what with the writing of the book and not doing the interviews, I've been doing a bit of that. And Julia and I, of course, have been focused very much on our future in terms of finding a spot of land and wanting to be as self-sufficient as we can, being as much off-grid as we can, so we're not dependent, taking back that responsibility, which is something I often talk about, and I feel that we do as a nation, as a body of people, as a country, whatever, however you class yourselves, as an individual, we need to accept a certain responsibility and not let others do everything. But that's not to say that we can't ask people, or if help is pro-offered, accept it. We should. But of course, we have to be very careful from where we take that help, because there may be strings attached. Some people may be quite happy to stay in a system, a jurisdiction, and say, well, you know, I've invested everything into this jurisdiction. I have to have a pension. I do need to go to hospitals. I need certain medical attention. I have dependents who depend on me, or I am dependent on other things. I can't really push against those things. And maybe for those individuals, that is the choice that is a sensible choice. It isn't sensible, really, to be pushing against, say, the hand that feeds you, of course, unless you've got other things in place. And sometimes taking that break so that you can perhaps say, well, I want to move away from this. You know, perhaps you work in a dead-end job that you hate, and you have this aspiration over here. But it would be silly, of course, to just go, oh, well, up yours, mate, I'm going over here, if over here is not ready to sustain you or help you. Although, conversely, of course, sometimes you need to make that bold exit from one and burn your bridges. And sometimes you have to do that. And I think that is a choice and a decision for each and every one. Then we need to think about that very seriously. And we mustn't be influenced by anybody, you know, online telling you that this is a golden apple over here, the goose that lays the golden egg is just waiting for you, because you need to be absolutely sure that that is true and that you have the ability to do the things that you do. And Julia and I have thought about this quite a lot. Have we got the ability to be able to grow our own food if and when we can get on the land, to be as autonomous as we can, to continue to make our videos, write our books, feed ourselves, water ourselves, you know, all of these things, to be as free as we can from those that want to entrap us and hold us down. And those questions, those answers, they come, I think, when you're not so focused at the sharp end, battling away, whatever it is that you're doing, and you take that break. Whether that break is, as I say, a diversion to do something different for a duration or a part-time, whatever it might be. Or that you physically go, do you know what, I'm going away on holiday, I'm going to go for a weekend somewhere, I'm going to book an Airbnb, I'm going to go to a different country for a week, or I'm taking a month or 2 months or whatever, you know, time you can afford to do, to sit and think and do something else. Because sometimes we do feel like we're bashing our heads against a brick wall and getting nowhere. And also, we don't necessarily know actually how much we have achieved. There may be some inspirational books, not suggesting my book is an inspirational book by any means, but there may be other inspirational books. I get sent them all the time. And part of what I enjoy doing, but I don't at the moment because I've been focused writing my own, is to sit and read inspirational books. But it may be you just want to go, do you know what, I want to read the classics. I haven't visited the classics for such a long time, or maybe I don't read at all and I'd like to read. I'd like to be able to learn to read, or whatever it might be. So in this, whilst I'm not really trying to influence anybody on anything, I'm just saying, in my opinion, and it is only an opinion, that sometimes taking yourself out of the picture, taking yourself off to have a bit of time out with the family, always good. To spend time with your children, your grandchildren, or partner, whatever it is, or alone, to have some solace, to meditate, to cogitate, to think, to sit somewhere in the countryside and smoke your pipe, if you do smoke a pipe, or whatever it is that you do. And maybe that's what one requires. But at the same time, it may also be that actually the requirement is just simply to take 10 minutes out of your day and sit quietly and smoke your pipe, or an hour. You know, it may not be that you have to go and diversify or divert your attention rather to something wholeheartedly and leave the fray. It may be that you just leave the fray for a short period, you know, lunchtime. Sorry guys, I can't battle you today. Just hold your fire. A bit like in the First World War, when we're told that at Christmas time both troops came out of the trenches, the Germans and the British came out, or the Allies I suppose they were, and met and had Christmas pudding, you know, roast turkey and all the trimmings and a few comedy crackers and perhaps, you know, a couple of games of charades. What's this? What game am I playing now? Oh no, sorry about that, mate. I should have done it in mime rather than with an actual rifle, but we better go back to fighting each other. You know what I mean? Sometimes we need that little diversion. We need that time to de-stress. So as I say, I have taken a little bit of time out from doing the interviews. We're looking for our land. We've looked at hundreds of websites and things, and we visited some, and we'll no doubt visit some more. So, and also, sometimes these monologues that I do are a bit rambling and are not always talking about the immediate terrible things. In fact, in the last 6 months to 8 months, even a year now, I favour not doing the scare tactics. I mean, every now and again something comes up and you think, I better share that information. I think that's important. But other times it's important to talk, you know, it's more thoughtful, more thought-provoking, perhaps philosophical. For me, and the option, of course, you've got is the great knob. under the screen where you turn it off. And you can do that at any time, as I'm sure you do. Anyway, thank you for watching. If you did, if you get a chance to just step back a little bit, have a break, take it easy, reinvigor yourself so that when you come back, you're more fully fledged and or in whatever area, just in ordinary everyday life. You know, I think it's something to think about anyway. So thank you for watching, and I will catch you on the next one. Till then, toodle pip.